That's a great name,
It is a
first
great
of
name.
all, and a great face. But you go to some house in the middle of the night and that face comes to the door, I mean, aren't you turning right around?
Yes. In 90% of films that you watch, that's the last scene in the movie, maybe even the last shot in the movie. That's the end of Act 1.
Yeah. That's what we like to hear. Before we were so rudely interrupted, we're back. Fright Club Live, and welcome to it. It feels good, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
We are back here. Thank you for coming out. We appreciate it. We're at our home away from home, Gateway Film Center in Columbus, Ohio, and glad about it. She is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And we are from madwolf.com. This is Fright Club Live, and man, we're doubling the pleasure tonight. We've got two, dare we say, great movies, and we've got a great topic to talk about as well. And it's just fun to be back. So, we've got another a special announcement too at the end about a bonus Fright Club. Yeah,
I know. It is.
It is always good. Thank you. So, well, first off, big thanks for everybody that chimed in last time when we talked about creepy-ass dolls.
Yes. So Phantom Dark Dave joined us on that one, which is very, very fun. It's always good to have him on. And what did we forget? Jen Dreadful right away let us know, to my chagrin, we forgot May.
Oh, man. I'm really surprised because you really like that movie. I do too, but you love it.
I'm also really surprised. Jamie was hoping for Dr. Cyclops. That was not going to happen. But Omar had hoped that we would do Trilogy of Terror, which really did almost make the list.
Yeah, I love that little guy.
Yeah, he is a good one. And then Seth thought that the blow-up doll from Fucci's City of the Living Dead should make it. I never thought of it, actually. It did not occur to me.
And he said, Seth, we're looking at you. That's good, though. I like that. Yeah. Well, that was fun. That was a fun one to do. Thanks to Phantom Dark Dave and thanks to everybody that chimed in. But today we're talking about involuntary surgery, which is really not the kind that you want to have. That's why it's involuntary.
That's right.
And this is kind of one that I'm surprised we haven't gotten to before because there's a lot of movies that deal with this, and not all of them are good. But we picked some good ones tonight. But it's a real creepy, horrific topic to talk about.
It is. I think it's a good topic because I think it's a good theme for horror movies because helplessness is always a great theme for a horror film, and I don't think there's anything, you don't ever feel quite as helpless as you do when you're unconscious and somebody is just changing your whole body without you saying, yes, let's do that, please. So
yeah.
I think that there's a lot of some of them are going to be pretty obvious and gross and horrible, but I personally, I'm a fan of all the films on this list.
Okay, yeah. Well, we have a top 6 too.
We
it's
do.
top
Fuzzy
6,
Maps.
top 5,
we should probably jump into it.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, because we are on the time crunch since we have a couple of films to show tonight. So, any other rules before we get to it?
Nope, not a one.
Not a one.
Nope.
Dang. Caution to the wind here. The return of Fright Club. All right. I love it. So let's get to it. So this one will make you happy, Richard. This is number 6 from 2009. A mad scientist kidnapping and mutilating a trio of tourists in order to reassemble them into a human centipede. 100% medically accurate. The Human Centipede.
A Siamese triplet connected via the gastric system. The Human Centipede.
What is this? What are you doing to us?
There we go. Yeah!
I should have said this is first sequence.
That's right.
Because they only got more depraved after this.
They did. But less interesting, I think. It's funny because you can tell from this trailer that this movie is just bad until we meet the doctor, right? Because you hear the girl, what was that? I mean, the acting is so poor, but then eventually, you can't hear them anymore. So, but Dieter Laser, who plays the doctor, glorious.
That's a great name.
It is a great name.
First of all, and a great face. But you go to some house in the middle of the night and that face comes to the door. I mean, aren't you turning right around?
Yes. I think the other thing that I was immediately impressed by when the first time I watched this movie is that in most films, you know what his plan is, and that the scene where they're actually he walks past them and they are all sort of conjoined. In 90% of films that you watch, that's the last scene in the movie, maybe even the last shot in the movie. That's the end of Act 1.
Yeah.
That's how fucked up Tom Six is. That then he's going to make us go for another hour while these poor people are sewn together, ass to mouth. I mean, inspired seems like the wrong word.
What I love, and I like to give a shout out to other great podcasts, but I love this. The doctors on a podcast called Hi Everybody, a Bad Medicine podcast. Ever since this movie came out, they use this movie as the baseline for how medically accurate movies are. So this is 100%. So like they said, a movie like Saw 2 is then 500% medically accurate, which I think is genius.
That is pretty great.
If that doesn't tell you right away what you're in for a movie like this, to see that even bigger than, I think at the end of the trailer there, that sentence was bigger than anything else in the entire credits. Which, yeah, Tom Six is fucked up, and now we've said that twice, so somewhere, wherever he is, he just smiled. I think he just felt that, because that seems to be what he's going for, and he definitely goes for it here. It's just, it's so ludicrous, but it's so much better than the other two, which is saying a lot.
Yeah. I mean, the other two have merit.
Do they?
But not like this. I mean, I really do. I think that this is it's novel, it's interesting, it's different.
Yeah.
So it has those three things going for it. They're all the same thing.
And it is involuntary surgery, of course, the human centipede, number 6 in our top 5. So let's get into the real top 5. This is from 2014, and a brash and arrogant podcaster gets more than he bargained for when he travels to Canada to interview a mysterious recluse who has a rather disturbing fondness for walruses. Tusk.
So look out, you crazy Canucks! Wandering Wallace takes a raunchy road trip up to the Great White North.
How far is Bifrost from here?
It's about 2 hours from here.
It's about 2 hours away.
I hate American guys.
Why are you doing this? Are you really mourning your humanity? I don't understand. Who in the hell would want to be human?
I'm so scared. This guy wants to turn me into an animal or something. I don't want to die in Canada.
I don't want to die in Canada. I love Michael Parks. Love Michael Parks in pretty much anything, but he's great in this.
Oh, my God. He's so incredible in this movie. He's just perfect. He's just perfect. He is. You're right. He's so great in everything that he's in. And he's in a lot of the horror films that we include in our podcast because in many instances, this included, he elevates the entire film. He makes the whole film better. And he's just amazing in this movie. I got a chance to interview Kevin Smith when this movie came out, around the time this movie came out. And we were talking about...
In a subway parking lot. It was great.
Right. It's true.
We were waiting around, and he didn't call, and we're like, screw it, we're just going to go eat. And then, of course, he called, so we're in the subway parking lot.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Here's a shock. He has an incredibly foul mouth.
He really does. I mean, that's even I'm saying that. I mean, it was... So the point is, we were talking about this film and what inspired this film, and it's that, on his podcast, the Smodcast, right, they did this. They read a letter like this on the air, and then they just, like douchebags, made fun of this lonely person. And I think his humanity died a little bit as he realized what he was doing, and then that's what this came out of that. Like, my humanity is gone, and I need to suffer, and that's where this movie came from.
I'm pretty sure that letter turned out to be a prank by a guy who did it hoping to meet Kevin Smith.
Okay.
He did it just for that reason, and then Kevin Smith hired him as a consultant on this movie.
Right.
So
but it all worked out.
It did all work out.
But I mean, it's funny because
come on in.
Yeah, one of the things I think I like so much about this movie is that it doesn't feel like a Kevin Smith movie. And at the same time, it's probably much more personal than most of his films. The other thing I think is very interesting personally about this movie is that a few weeks ago we did a podcast on the horror films that you can only watch once, and this was the one our son voted. He said, his quote was, "I could watch a Serbian film 50 times before I watched Tusk one more time."
That should be on the poster. This is the first of Kevin Smith's Canada-based trilogy, the second Yoga Hosers, and then the final installment, Moose Jaws, which I think is that never came out, did it?
No, because Yoga Hosers did. And people were like, I think we're done here.
Justin Long is such a dick in this movie. His character is such a dick that by the end of it, you're almost like, you know. I mean, I know he's meant to be that way, over the top. He's
right.
This dick of a podcaster.
I love the mustache, though.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
and I'm like, is that to make us think walrus? Is that why? That just god-awful mustache? But it's my favorite part of Justin Long's performance.
And then the final, for anybody who hasn't seen it, I mean, the final transformation is pretty glorious.
It really is. I mean, it is, honestly. It's a horror comedy of sorts, but it's a pretty disturbing film, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure.
And not just because of Johnny Depp's performance.
And that is Tusk from 2014, number 5 on our list of horrific involuntary surgery.
Now we're going to get to the ones that are full-on good movies. So,
and this is number 4. We've talked about this a few times. Yeah, this is good. The allure of easy money sends Mary, a medical student, into the world of underground surgeries, which ends up leaving more marks on her than her so-called freakish clients. It's American Mary.
Gotta be a doctor?
Surgeon. I'm changing specialties, Dr. Grant. Have you ever heard of body modification? Do you think I'm crazy?
my favorite movies on this list are the ones that have insane female surgeons. So, and there's more than one, but Catherine Isabelle is so great in this movie. She's so great in this movie. We've talked about her more often in Ginger Snaps, which is an all-time favorite.
You might remember her from Ginger Snaps.
But she is magnificent in this movie, which is incredibly weird and is really about female empowerment in a very subversive kind of a way, because the women who become her clients are looking to make themselves, in a way, sex objects, and in another way, sort of own that so that they actually, you can't penetrate them. And it's really weird. It is such a bizarre notion that they follow in this film. And it's also incredibly bloody. But those women, theirs are voluntary. The dudes,
not so much.
Not. And what happens there is just as bizarre and disturbing.
And this is the Soska sisters. And they actually had their parents remortgage their house in order to raise money to finance this film. And their parents got cameos in the movie. So that was nice.
That is nice of them, yeah. And the Soskas, they are also in the movie. They also have a small part in the movie as patients.
And they shot it in 15 days, and all the effects are practical, which we always appreciate.
We do. And also, I mean, there a lot of the performances in this movie are really great. Tristan Risk, she's the one who kind of has a Betty Boop sort of a weird image in the trailer. She's such a bizarre presence in this movie, and she's just exactly what it needs to sell you on this like very unlikely premise. So she also is just amazing in this movie.
And I like, you heard a bit of Ave Maria in the trailer. I think it's very cool. They play it 3 times, total of 3 times in the movie, and each time it goes up a skill level, and that coincides with Mary's development as a surgeon, which is very, very cool. I love those subliminal messages throughout the movie. But yeah, she gets skilled.
She does.
And Catherine Isabelle.
And even.
Yeah. Catherine Isabelle actually spent some time hanging out at a medical school to do some research for this. So maybe she could take what she learned and start a new career. American Mary is number 4 on our list of involuntary surgery. And that one, we've had that, I think, on the podcast a few times.
Oh, yeah.
But that's a good one. Moving up to number 3, this is from 2012. I know this is one we've talked about at least once. It's a disturbed and delusional high school student with aspirations of a career in medicine, going to extremes to earn the approval of her controlling mother. It's Excision.
Dear God, my little sister is slowly dying, and my mom, as I'm sure you know, is a total bitch.
Chew with your mouth closed.
I'm planning on having premarital sex. I'd accept full responsibility for all my actions. But let's face it, he gave me hormones. It's not my fault I was born with a chemical imbalance.
She's a menace!
Some of your behavior has been downright sociopathic. I'm turning my life around. I realize it's not all about me anymore.
Mind-blowingly grotesque. Did you
and
see
perverse.
that? Did you see that?
Sign us up.
I don't know if you've seen this film. If you haven't, don't, because we're going to show it this year.
Yeah.
It is really outstanding. We have mentioned it in at least one other podcast, the Menstruation in Horror podcast. So just FYI, keep that in mind if you decide to come back.
If that tells you anything, wink,
yes. Because Annalyn McCord, she's the. Did the trailer totally sell you on this movie, though? I love that trailer. I mean, I watched it with like, oh, I'm so all in. And even if John Waters wasn't in the trailer, but he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's she is such a fan of blood. She's a really big fan of blood. And it's such a bizarre character, this main character, this sort of, high school outcast who wants to be a surgeon. She's just not very smart. So eventually, when it comes time for her to just, try the skill out on some unsuspecting patients of different breeds and things, it doesn't ever really work out that well for the patients. But the whole movie is just as bizarre as it can possibly be. It's smart, it's irreverent, it's profoundly irreverent, and it's so great that Malcolm McDowell and Marlee Matlin and Tracy Lords. The whole
the guy
supporting
from
cast
Twin Peaks, who I'm forgetting his name there.
Yeah.
Ray Wise, thank you.
But of all of them, John Waters fits the best because he never did anything he really never did horror. He never wrote and directed horror. He was in some. But this has such a John Waters just grossness about it that having him in it is just a chef's kiss.
It's funny, when we were watching the trailer, I somehow thought that we had already shown it.
No,
I had some sort of
we've
memory.
watched it together,
Well, yeah.
but we haven't shown it here. Date night.
But actually, that'd be great if we use this as one coming up this year, you say?
That's the plan.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's Excision number 3 from 2012 on our list of involuntary surgery. All right, this next one is one we have shown. This is one of our classics going back to 1960. A surgeon causes an accident which leaves his daughter disfigured and goes to extreme lengths to give her a new face. Eyes Without a Face.
Why did she pick the trailer that has just French words on the screen? Because I love that that's that song that they use throughout the actual film. They also use in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, of course. And it's my favorite. I just always picture like the clown and the bike is missing, and so I had to do that.
It's such a funny choice for this movie because it seems so out of place, but then the more you get sucked into the movie, it kind of fits.
Because there's something grotesque about the circus, and there's certainly something grotesque about Eyes Without a Face.
Oh yeah, John Carpenter has suggested, at least in one or two interviews, that the mask that he originally settled on for Michael Myers was influenced by the one in this, and you can see that. It's very just blank and just very, very white. It looks sort of like a porcelain doll, and one of the things that makes the whole thing just so creepy. Yeah,
there's a lot of medical horror that was sort of born from this movie through the 70s in particular, where there's an oversized nurse who is helping to keep women chained up in a basement so that doctors can experiment on them. But the thing about this movie, I think, is that, first of all of the performances are really amazing, really quite beautiful, but it goes off in these incredibly weird directions that are sort of poetic in their own way. I mean, the Christiane, the woman, his daughter, the doctor's daughter, who doesn't have a face, and so he keeps trying to steal somebody else's face for her, who's wearing that mask. She's got like a Rosemary Woodhouse almost look about her, very frail and sort of poetic and beautiful. And then so many like small elements throughout this movie. There are these dogs. There are these dogs that they keep chained up because they experiment on the dogs as well. So you always hear these dogs barking. And there are dogs of all sizes, right? Little ones, and you just think to yourself, how could you possibly do this? And I think that's part of he's sort of professing that he's trying to save his daughter, but you can see what he's doing. And it's to me, it's the dogs that are, well, if you could do this to dogs, you're just a bad man.
Yeah, there's some great visuals, too, with the dogs and with the birds is part of it. And the director is Georges Franju.
Yes.
Pronounced that correctly? And he has said that he never considered it to be a horror story, instead a tale of anguish. But it certainly works. I mean, involuntary surgery is pretty horrific.
It definitely is a horror story. And it also inspired a great Billy Idol song.
I knew you were going to work that in. And the funny thing
I
is,
almost just showed the video instead, but I didn't.
it's interesting, though, when it first came out, it didn't get a lot of love, especially critically. In fact, the English film critic for The Spectator was nearly fired because they wrote a positive review of this. And, of course, over the years, this is one of the ones that has been re-examined and people have come around. But it just set people off, and they didn't, I think, know what to think of it at the time. But it wasn't really thought of anything worthwhile.
We talked about that when we showed Peeping Tom as another one of the classics that we showed here, is that movie came out and critics just absolutely hated it. And there was another example of a film critic that just praised it and nearly got fired for it. And, 50 years later, it's considered one of the all-time classics.
Exactly. Eyes Without a Face.
You know what that says? Film critics are dumb.
Some of them.
No.
Some of them from 1960. And this is one that we showed last year.
We did. We showed right before the pandemic.
In the before times.
Eyes
Without a Face from 1960. Moving up to number one. It's the one, coincidentally, of course, we are going to see tonight from 2011. A brilliant plastic surgeon, haunted by past tragedies, creates a type of synthetic skin that withstands any kind of damage. His guinea pig, a mysterious and volatile woman who holds the key to his obsession, the skin I live in. Coming very soon, in fact.
Yeah.
Minutes away. So because we're going to show this, we don't want to say too much about it. How many people have not seen it? All right.
Yay!
I love that.
Yay!
Well, it's fantastic, and as you saw, it's Pedro Almodovar, it's really adapted from a short story, but he worked on the screenplay for so long. It's more. It took on more of his own personal statement, which when you see the movie, you can certainly feel it. There's a lot of things I love about this movie. The final shot is so great.
Yeah.
It's so great. There's so much feeling in it. And there's a great performance by Antonio Banderas.
And we don't want to spoil anything. Just as you're watching it, keep in mind this one thing. The podcast topic was almost tigers.
Yeah, that's right.
And also, if you love it, and you should, keep in mind also that the Gateway Film Center is showing Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown, which is Almodovar's 1988 movie co-starring Antonio Banderas, a very young and puffy-shirted Antonio Banderas. And if you see that, they are attached to it the short film, The Human Voice, with Tilda.
The Tilda.
So we got a chance to catch this. Glorious. So get it. So watch it if you can.
Yeah.
And just an FYI that before we show the film, we are going to show the 9-minute short that we made during the pandemic. Cast and crew are here tonight. Thank you all so very, very much. Yay!
And we also have news of a bonus Fright Club episode, which is coming up on Wednesday, June 23rd. We have a premiere of a brand new movie called Werewolves Within. Yes, and we are going to come on in. Yes, and we're going to premiere that right here on Wednesday, June 23rd. Oh, we're going to show the trailer?
Everything about this predator is unorthodox. It's not human. It's not canine. It's one of them.
One of what?
A lycanthrope.
A what?
Lycanthrope.
A werewolf.
How could it gotten in here? How did they get out?
Who says it got out? Maybe I'm a werewolf.
Maybe you're a werewolf. Maybe you're a werewolf. You're a werewolf. You're a werewolf. You're a werewolf. Maybe we're all werewolves.
Are we really in a Mexican standoff right now?
Baby, don't say Mexican. Just stand up.
Yes, see, comes out June 25th. You get to see it on June 23rd.
That's right.
You come here for the Fright Club premiere. That looks like a lot of fun. I was glad to see that Michaela Watkins, who's always good. I like to see her in anything. I saw Lily from the AT&T commercials is in there.
Yep, she is.
And it looks like it's a real fun. And who else? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, from What We Do in the Shadows.
He says he's from Argentina. He says it like 9 times. Argentina.
So that looks fun. We hope to see you back here on the 23rd for that. Also want to say, I know Dustin is here somewhere. Dustin, are you here? Dustin is moving in a matter of days to L.A. We just want to say thank you for coming out all this time. Good luck to you. Best of luck as you reach for the stars.
And also thank you for helping us move Meemaw.
Yeah. He came over and helped us move my mom. So appreciate that. But bon voyage, Dustin. Thanks for coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So we look forward to seeing you on the 23rd. This podcast will be edited and up in a few days, quicker than normal, because we're going away this weekend for our 25th wedding anniversary. So
Cutie.
That was not for cheap applause, but thank you. So look for this soon. That's madwolf.com, and, of course, on the Fright Club podcast Facebook group. If you're not a member, we'd love to have you. Just send a request, and we'll approve it.
Right.
Lots of fun stuff there. What else is going on?
We'll just pop back down after the movie and tell us what you thought. And if you don't like Godspeed, keep it to your goddamn self.
So remember, you can always find us on Twitter. It's at Fright Club Pod. Also on Facebook and Instagram, it is Mad Wolf Columbus, and the main website is madwolf.com. So thanks for coming out. Yeah, again, we've got the Godspeed coming up first, and then just a couple of minutes, we'll get it switched, and we'll have The Skin I Live In coming up. So until next time, she is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And this is the Fright Club Podcast.
Stay frightful.